Greetings, loyal subscribers and honoured guests. So as you can see from the title of the video and the text up there, this is my 2022 Game of the Year video. So there'll be my top 10 in a few minutes. But before I get to that, I just want to go over my honourable mentions for the year. The games that don't quite make it for whatever reason. Starting with the two big ones, Horizon Forbidden West and God of War Ragnarok. So Horizon really is because I think I'd just come off the back of playing Horizon Zero Dawn and finishing that about a month before it came out. So it was really too much Horizon in too short a period of time, I think. So I think I just had enough of that, the same sort of gameplay at the time. So I will go back to it and play it eventually. God of War Ragnarok, I am going to continue with when I go back to work and things have settled down into the sort of regular routine. I have put about 15 hours into it and I have quite enjoyed it, but I want to make sure I finish that one before I get past my final judgment on it. And then there's Kirby and the Forgotten Land on the Switch, which I played the first 2 or 3 worlds and then stopped. So that was another big one that came out this year. Return to Monkey Island is another one that I haven't finished yet. It was probably the first game I bought specifically to play on my Steam Deck in September, but I haven't haven't finished the story. There were 2 TMNT related releases. The Cowabunga collection, which was a compilation of all the classic arcade NES, SNES, Mega Drive games, and then Shredder's Revenge, which was a brand new beat 'em up in the, sort of the same style as the old Konami arcade game. Both of those are pretty good, but I wouldn't rank them in the top 10 this year. And the other one that I played this year, but isn't worthy of a top 10 slot, is Gotham Knights. I don't think it deserves all the hatred it got, but I thought it was pretty good fun. The story and the way you play as the 4 different characters was compelling, but some of the sort of fodder missions where you just go and solve random crimes got very samey, and the game forced you to do those at some points before you could progress. And also the 30 FPS frame rate was an issue at times. So yeah, I wouldn't put that on my top 10 by any means. And once you've finished it, it's fairly forgettable. So without further ado, let's move on to the actual top 10. So coming in at 10th place is Stray, which is the cat game. This was very well done. The animation on the cat is superb. For anyone who really likes cats, then this was one of the most anticipated games of 2022, I would have to say. And it for most of its duration, it does deliver. But the main thing that really causes me to put it in 10th place is the fact that it's just about 5 hours long. And while that probably won't be a bad thing for many, because they can easily fit it into their schedule and play the whole thing, for me, I like my games to be a bit longer for me to really sort of sink my teeth into them. So I think about 10 hours at the very least would have been better. And there were also just a few parts of this game which weren't so good, I think, like the bits with the combat, but it was very short-lived anyway. That section only takes about 45 minutes to get past, so it wasn't a big issue. But yeah, everything else was really well done. And I may be expecting a bit too much from this studio as it's their very first game they've ever developed, and they probably didn't have a vast budget to begin with. So that really they've done a very good job. And if they were to bring out a sequel, a more expanded game, I would definitely be on board to play that and see what they can do, given more money and more game, really. So, yeah. Anyway, that's number 10, Stray. At number 9, we have New Tales from the Borderlands, which I hadn't seen too many comments from people until I actually sort of started finding the trailers and logos and stuff to make this video now. But from what I understand, people don't like this game. Fans of the Borderlands series or the first Tales of the Borderlands, for the most part, thought this was bad. But I quite enjoyed it. It's definitely not in the same league as the original Tales of the Borderlands because the characters aren't as likeable, and the plot kind of loses its way a little bit, I think, as it goes on. But while I was actually playing through the episodes, I did enjoy it and found it quite amusing. And it's good to see a return to this sort of game, really. I think some of the actual Telltale staff who worked on the old game were involved in this, as I understand it, but I don't know exactly who or in what capacity. But yeah, I quite enjoyed my time with it. I don't regret playing it. So that's number 9, New Tales from the Borderlands. At number 8 is Atari 50, the anniversary celebration, and the main reason this is on here is not actually for the games that are included, which might sound weird, but for the most part, these old Atari games are very antiquated, both in their looks and the way they play. The only old game I'd really come back to and play now for any period of time is Tempest 2000, but there are some brand new sort of updates of old games on here that are pretty good. But for me, the main thing that made this so good was the museum mode, where there are tons of scanned articles and instruction manuals, and there's lots of interviews to look through, and that will take you quite a fair few hours just to look through all of that. The games themselves are more of a sort of afterthought, really. There are a lot of games on here. I thought something in the region of 80, and some of them are prototypes that have never been seen before. And it's impressive that they've actually found someone to make a Jaguar emulator just for this compilation, and he's released the source code, so yeah, other people can just use the emulator to play the rest of the Jaguar library. So anyway, yeah, that's 8th place, Atari 50, the anniversary celebration. In at number 7 is Vampire Survivors, which, of course, I picked up for my Steam Deck. It has been the number 1 played game on the Steam Deck for quite some time, and there's a good reason for that. Firstly, it's very cheap, only a couple of dollars or pounds. Secondly, you can play it for hours on the Steam Deck without any real drain on the battery, whereas your sort of AAA games like Elden Ring, you'd only get about an hour and a half. With something like Vampire Survivors, you can easily get about 6 or 7 hours of battery out of it. So that's a key factor for its success. But there are 2 camps of people on the Facebook Steam Deck group. There's the people who have already bought this game and are hooked on it, and then the ones who see all the posts about it and look at the screenshots and think, that looks like utter crap, why would I want to play that? And the reason really is it's absolutely crammed with unlockables and secrets, and the actual gameplay loop, once you get into it, is quite addictive. So yeah, unlocking all the characters, the weapons, finding all the evolutions for the weapons, is a key part of why it's so good. And the fact that there are so many sort of imitators to this game now, like Brotato and other things like that, is a testament to how influential it's been. I myself wouldn't have tried it if I hadn't watched Dan Reichert play it on one of his Twitch streams, so it's thanks to him that I ended up buying it. But for £2 or whatever it was really a no-brainer, because you're not really risking anything to find out if you like it or not anyway. So let's move on. That's 7th place, Vampire Survivors. Number 6 is Live Alive for the Nintendo Switch, and this is one of the games on this list that I sadly didn't finish. For the most part, I made a rule where I should really have finished these games if I'm going to include them. But with this one, I played about 5 chapters out of 8, and then Xenoblade Chronicles 3 came out and took away all my attention. But while I did play this, I was having a lot of fun, and it's the sort of game where you can take quite a break and still be able to come back and be able to follow exactly where you left off, because all of the initial 7 episodes are really not connected. They take place in different periods of time, as you can see on the screen now, and the story doesn't carry on from one to the next, so you can sort of do them episodes as and when you want, really, and they don't become connected to each other until the final episode, which is the longest one. So I will go back and finish the rest of this game, but it was really cool. I think the 2D HD art style is fantastic, and it's just good that Squaresoft are going back to some of their older games that never got a Western release and are remastering them and localizing them and putting them out here. So this gives me hope that we might get games like Bahamut Lagoon and Treasure Hunter G, is it called, over here eventually in a similar art style possibly. So anyway, that's number 6, Live Alive. Number 5 is Tinykin, and this is a 3D exploration platformer in the sort of style of something like Super Mario 64 or Banjo-Kazooie back on the N64, except it borrows an idea from Pikmin, where you've got these little coloured creatures that you hatch out of egg-like things, and they all have a different ability depending on what colour they are. Like red ones are strong. I think purple ones explode when you throw them into flames or something. Green ones can be stacked up into a ladder. Yellow ones can conduct electricity. And I think blue ones are waterproof. I can't remember exactly now because it's been quite a while since I played the game. But yeah, exploring the world is really good fun, and they've just made the traversal really fun with the bar of soap that you can slide around on. It's a game that I 100% finished on every level. It was such good fun, and it's one of several games on this list that I completed on Game Pass. I didn't buy it, but it's worth the money, I would say. There's about 20 hours of gameplay, and it's you'll have a lot of fun while it lasts. So that's number 5, Tinykin. This next game I also played via Game Pass, and it's As Dusk Falls, which is a narrative adventure game by another new studio called Interior Night, and it's an official Xbox Game Studios release, which is why it went on Game Pass on day one, and will stay on there indefinitely. But the idea behind this game is that you're a family who get run off the road by a group of thugs that have just robbed a sheriff's house, and you have to make your way to the local hotel because your car's tyre has been punctured and you need help. And then the thugs come back and take everyone hostage, and it's really about trying to defuse the situation and make sure everyone makes it out alive. And and like other games of this sort, like Life is Strange, you make choices and you do quick time events, and you see how things play out. And you can, after you finish the game, you can go back into the sort of timeline and jump back to earlier sections and make other choices and see how that affects things. I didn't do that because when I play games like this, I like to have my sort of one playthrough where I just go off my gut, and that's sort of like the canon way I've played it. Going back and changing things doesn't feel right to me, but the game does sort of reward you doing that if you want to. And the other cool thing is that you can play it with 8 players via mobile devices. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. Yeah, it's worth a look if you've got Game Pass especially. But yeah, that's number 4, As Dusk Falls. Number 3, my bronze medal goes to Iron Chronicle Rising, which is an action RPG which takes about, I would say, 25 hours-ish to finish, if I remember right, to complete. And it's a lot of fun. So it takes place in this sort of 2D perspective, and you could classify this as 2D HD again, really, although that's sort of a trademarked Squaresoft thing, but it's the same sort of style. And this is a prequel to the upcoming Iron Chronicle 100 Heroes, which is going to be a much longer turn-based JRPG with 100 recruitable heroes, as you might have guessed. But these 3 characters are going to be part of those 100 heroes, I think, and this sets up the world that it all takes place in. And I really enjoyed the story, and I liked the action gameplay. It's another game where I did 100% of everything. I completed every single side quest, explored every area. My only sort of slight criticism is that you end up going back to the same few dungeons many times. So you might get sick of it by the end, but I didn't. It was just the right sort of length where I didn't get bored, really. So that's number 3, Iron Chronicle Rising. My second place game, silver medal, goes to Marvel Midnight Suns, and I was really surprised that this made its way onto my top 10, especially in second place, as it wasn't released until early December. So I pretty much assumed whatever was on my top 10 was pretty much locked in by that late stage in the year, but no, lo and behold, this came out. I initially picked it up for my Steam Deck and ended up putting 35 hours into it. I didn't finish it, but I'm not going to hold it against the game in this case, because it wasn't the game's fault. What happened is my install files got corrupted on my Steam Deck, so I deleted the game and re-downloaded it, and I lost my cloud save in the process. So all 35 hours were gone, and I would have to start again. So at that point, I ended up picking the game up on the Xbox Series X, and I got the whatever the fancy edition is that contains the season pass. So there are, I think, 3 expansions coming next year. Well, this year now, including characters like Deadpool. So they'll be cool. But anyway, as to what makes this game cool. When it was announced that the developers of XCOM were making a Marvel game, I really wasn't sure what to make of it. I thought, XCOM meets Marvel, I don't see how that's going to work, but it really isn't anything like XCOM. The battle system uses cards to shuffle which abilities you get to use in a given turn, and if you have quick abilities, you can wipe out sort of weak enemies in one hit and build up your meter to use more powerful abilities. and throwing enemies into objects or other enemies and kill them is really satisfying. It's got most of the cool Marvel characters that you would expect, like Captain America, Iron Man, Captain Marvel, but it also includes some more obscure characters like the Midnight Suns themselves, which includes Blade and Nico Minoru from the Runaways, who I'm learning about for the first time. One of the other cool things about the game is that there's outside of combat, there's a whole abbey base that you can explore, and the grounds as well, which are really quite large. You can roam around, solve mysteries, explore things, gradually gain abilities to access deeper and deeper into the grounds. You can build relationships with the other Marvel heroes by taking them on dates, essentially, or just, well, they call them hangouts. You can spar with them and upgrade your abilities, research things, and build up your base with more and more rooms and ways of enhancing your decks or your abilities. So I do have to start over again. In fact, I've already started from the beginning, so it'll take me a while to get back to where I was. It's the sort of game that I would have replayed anyway eventually, because like Mass Effect, it's got light or dark character choices, so there are two paths to play it. I think I am going to play light again. I'm not going to change what I did because I never finished it. So it's really addictive, and it's quite long too, because after 35 hours I was only about halfway through, I think. But you can really make it last as long as you want, I think, because you can keep going on sort of random missions as much as you want to earn more resources and power up your team indefinitely, which I would be tempted to do to make some of the fights easier. The other cool thing is that it really treats the supervillains with respect. So there's characters like Venom, Sabretooth, and a few others who have been basically taken over by the main baddie Lilith, and they can randomly appear in your sort of normal missions, and when you take them down, they aren't permanently defeated. They sort of retreat and run away, so they'll keep coming back time and time again, and it's a bit of a pain because they're really powerful and can really cause you some grief if they turn up at the wrong time. But on the other hand, they feel like really powerful supervillains who have to be dealt with as a priority. So I like the way they've handled them. So anyway, this has gone on for quite a long time now. So that is second place, Marvel's Midnight Suns. And the winner of my Gold Award, first place, is Xenoblade Chronicles 3, which won't come as much of a surprise to anyone who knows me, as I've gone on about it for quite a lot of time on Facebook over the last few months. The guys you can see on screen are the main baddies, Mobius, and it was really when one of the Mobius characters appeared for the first time after a few hours into the game that I was hooked, because they're so over the top, and the voice acting is ridiculous but fun, and the music that plays when you fight these guys is absolutely amazing. In fact, the music is really good all the way through. There's not a single bad tune, I think, and that could also be applied to the voice acting, which is quite a diverse cast of different accents and dialects, a lot of them British, and some of these actors have been in TV shows like Peaky Blinders, in the case of Mio's voice actress, and The Last Kingdom in the case of Noah's actor. So yeah, it's really well done. And the other thing I like about the game that made it so addictive really is most of the side content is really directly connected to the main path as well. So as you go through, you end up freeing loads of colonies from the influence of Mobius, and each time you do, you unlock a whole chain of side quests, most of which are voice acted, and all unlock another character class after you've befriended the captain of whatever colony it is. So while the main route is probably, I don't know, about half the time you'll spend in the game, a vast amount of time is just doing the side content, which is just as strong. And that you can't really say the same about many RPGs. Usually a lot of the side quests are just filler that aren't very interesting. But other good things are the story is really emotional and well told. After Act 5 I had to take a break which ended up being about 2 months because it was so intense and emotional. But I did come back and finish the game eventually. There are 7 acts in total, so it took another 40 or so hours to do the remaining 2 acts, and then there's post-game stuff as well. And we're not quite done with the game yet. If you own the expansion pass, there's a full expansion coming later in 2023, where the creators have said it will be just as long as the expansion for Xenoblade Chronicles 2, which was about 20 to 25 hours. So there's still a lot to look forward to if you want more. So yeah, anyway, that's my game of the year, Xenoblade Chronicles 3. I hope you enjoyed watching my roundup of my favourite games this year. It's quite a long video, so I wouldn't blame you if you didn't watch all of it. But yeah, I wanted to get this out while it was still timely. I've got some more videos coming out soon. I'm going to be working on them this week before I go back to work. So stick with the channel and watch those as they come out. But yeah, thank you for watching, and in the meantime, take care.